Happy Sunday. Today is April the 12th, 2026. Welcome back to the Roadmap to Freedom Personal Growth Healing Program. Today I'm continuing to talk about tools for a stronger you, and most specifically, go with the flow. So, if you want to live life to the fullest, you must first be willing to fail. So many successful people have probably failed hundreds, if not thousands of times. To change yourself, it takes work. Try and try again. You're going to do great. And then all of a sudden you're going to fall, like I was talking about yesterday. You just pick yourself back up and you try and try again. That is the way to change yourself. When you are faced with a fork in the road, you have to make a decision. And if the decision is very, very difficult, like just maybe use the onion effect with each scenario, which decision you should make. But just know that if you make a decision and you don't like the journey that you end up on, it can be changed. Nothing is set in stone. Everything is flexible if you allow it. Go with the flow. The best advice I can give anyone is to make decisions based on your heart, not necessary from your head or a logic decision. That's a tough one for me because I'm a very logical person. And so what I find myself having to do is I sit down, I get quiet, I take a couple deep breaths, I drop my head into my heart, and then I sit there and I think about it in silence with no distractions. And I can usually come up with my decision. Another thing it would be good to do is get a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, on the left the pros, on the right the cons. So write down what are the good things, the pros of a particular decision, and what are the cons of that decision. But that can be very enlightening as well. But I like to live my life following my heart. Another thing that I really like to do is sleep on it. No matter what the question is, no matter what the problem is, no matter what the offer is from somebody else, I remember I was going to a job interview back in January, and they pretty much wanted me to start. And I said, you know what? I think I really need to sleep on this. And then I decided to go in for a day and just, feel the ropes. And then at the end of that day, they said, how do you feel? And I says, well, I'm again going to sleep on it after I've seen how it all goes here. And so the next day I thought, you know what? Yeah, I think maybe I'd like to give that a try. And so I didn't hear anything. I told him I'd let him know. So I texted him and I said, are you still thinking that maybe you'd like to hire me for that position? And lo and behold, he came back and he said, the person that quit has decided to stay after a long-term discussion today. And I thought, great. Well, best of luck with that. And I got off the phone and I felt a little bit of disappointment, yes. But then I quickly turned it around and said, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. Everything. It just wasn't for me, even though I thought I would like to try it. And even those words, I thought I would like to try it. It wasn't, oh, I can hardly wait to begin that job. So I think even my soul and my psyche knew that job was not for me. Does that make sense? There will be obstacles that you run into with the people around you if you're doing something that's going to take away from them, because they're going to start telling you that you're selfish. How could you do that? That's very selfish because you're changing, and perhaps you were going to take a job And without your employment, you can help them a lot. I don't know what the scenario is. That's just one I just picked out of the sky. So, and then all of a sudden you tell them you've got a job and they're thinking, oh my goodness, like she's not going to, she or he is not going to be around, to help me with everything. It's going to change my life. And then they're getting upset about that because they don't want to accept the change because you've been doing this and helping them for so long. So be aware of that. And always follow your heart. Don't cave, because you're not going to be happy if you don't do your heart's desire. I do believe that it's important to go with the flow. I also believe it's extremely eye-opening to look at the truth. Don't let the fog, you know, don't let the fog seep in. If you are confused today, sleep on it. Wake up. Tomorrow's another day. You truly have to learn to do what is best for you. And back in the day, when I was going through all this and trying to change my life, I can remember thinking, my goodness, like my life this year has been made up of me standing at the edge of a riverbank looking at the rapids and then making a decision about something and jumping into those rapids without a life jacket. It can be frightening. And maybe, I went off a waterfall and I fell into the pool of water and I was safe and protected. So there are calculated risks to changing yourself, but just know that when you run into hurdles or something didn't work out the way you expected it to, you can change. You can go in a new direction. And during the process of change, go with the flow. And be determined. The determination will get you a long distance. So, I hope you have a really great evening. And I hope you join me again tomorrow. We're almost done this program. I do believe there's one more after this, and then I'll be moving on to something else that I'll let you know about. Namaste.